Hello, and welcome back to the Car Brands podcast. I am Roberta, your host, and today we are talking about something every business owner needs to get right. And it's your website. Specifically, how to make sure your website builds trust and turns visitors into paying clients. So let's be real. Your website isn't just an online brochure, especially if you're just selling online. You don't have a physical store. So it's your digital storefront, your first impression, and your best salesperson if it's built right. If visitors are not staying on your website, if they are not engaging with your content, if they're not pressing that get in touch button, it might be missing some key trust building elements. So with that said, today I am breaking down the must-have elements every website needs to look credible, to feel professional, and to convert. So if you want to grab a notebook or open your notes app, let's dive in. So first things first is your messaging. And by any means, I am a specialist in copywriting, but I know that your messaging needs to be right. If visitors land on your website and they don't immediately understand what you do and why it matters to them, they're gone. And with that said, the same goes for too much content, too much written copy. That's not good as well because our attention span it's getting shorter. Therefore, people don't have much time or patience to be reading long essays on your website. So keep it short, keep it, snappy and straight to the point. So, how to fix your messaging? So it's important to have a clear headline on your home page, on your hero section, which is kind of like the top part of your website that says exactly what you do in one sentence. Use a sub-heading to expand on your value. For example, what problem do you solve and for whom? And keep your copy simple, direct, and preferably jargon-free, because people often can get confused and confused visitors don't convert. So, for example, instead of, let's say, empowering business with digital solutions, try something like, we or I help coaches and service providers build high-converting websites that drive sales. So do you see the difference? You're saying straight away, how do you help them and who do you help? So your website should instantly communicate your value. No one should have to dig out to figure it out. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing, and I'm a bit biased here, but a professional and polished design. And by any means, I mean super complicated, loads of animations, not at all. Sometimes less, well, not sometimes, most of the times, less is more. So the first impressions, if your site looks cluttered, outdated, or amateur, people will question your credibility. And this is 100% real. So you don't want your website to look like it was designed by a sixth grade. You want your website to look as professional as possible. So how do you achieve that if you are doing your own website? So stick to 2 to 3 brand colors, 1 to 2 fonts for a clean professional look. There is a whole psychology behind fonts and colors, and I'm not going to go too much into detail in this episode because there will be another episode about that if needed. But yeah, keeping things really simple makes a huge difference. Using high quality images, so ditch all the blurry, all the outdated and overused stock photos that we all know how they look like. And then make sure your site is mobile friendly, because half of the web traffic is on mobile, and a clunky mobile experience means less conversions. If you need great free images, I'll put them on the episode description, but I rely a lot on Unsplash and Pexels, and there's also Kaboom Pix, which has a huge library of free stock photos and videos. Okay, now third point that I want to make is social proof and credibility boosters. So people trust what other people say about you more than what you say about yourself, meaning that I can be talking how great I am, look what I've done, look whatever, but if people say great things about me, the prospect clients will believe them more, if that makes sense. So if your site does not have social proof, you're missing a huge opportunity to build credibility. So add client testimonials, real stories from past clients. And I know sometimes it's really hard to get testimonials from clients, myself included. People just don't have the time or the capacity, and then time just goes by and you never get that testimonial. But I'm pretty sure you have a snippet from an email or from a DM, and those are to be used as well. Those are real. So just make sure that you have the approval to share those, and there you go. Display logos of businesses you've worked with or any media features. Those are also super important. And include case studies or before and after examples to show real results. So if you can as well, with permission, use photos of your clients next to their testimonials, because people connect with faces, and that just builds a little extra layer of trust. Then point number 4, and this is quite obvious, but not all the websites pay much attention to this, which is a clear and a simple call to action, or sometimes people call it a CTA. So if people don't know what they are supposed to do next, they'll do nothing, which means no sales. So I think it's important to mention that when you're building your website, what is your primary intention you have for people when they land on your homepage? What do you want them to do? Do you want them to book a discovery call? Do you want them to fill out a form? Do you want them to purchase a product? So with that in mind, that should drive what your call to action is. I hope that makes sense. So have one clear call to action on every page. That can be book a consultation, download the free guide, shop now. Make sure your call to action buttons stand out. That means it can be in the format of a button with a different color. It can be underlined. It can be an arrow. There can be a symbol close to them. There's many different ways you can create your call to action buttons to stand out. Keep your forms, if that's the case, short and simple. No one wants to fill a big form. And instead of, for example, a learn more button, try something more, what's the word that I'm looking for? Instead of learn more, maybe use a book your call now. For example, it's much more direct and much more clear what's the intention behind that click. So I hope that makes sense. I think it's sometimes a bit an overlooked point. Then the next point, and the last one that I want to make, is having essential trust signals. So visitors are subconsciously scanning your website for signs that your business is legit, because there are a lot of scammers out there. And if people don't find those legit signals, they won't trust you enough to buy. And some of the things that can enable that legit and that trust is having a professional about page. I do always recommend, and I know that some people will say straight away no, in sharing photos of themselves. But for me, and there's studies that talk about this as well, having a photo of yourself, and you don't need to be right front and center on your website, but having at least one photo of yourself, it builds a lot of trust. So if you can do that, the about page, it's the right place to add it. I personally, if I go into a website and there's only stock photos, there's no photo of a real person, I am out, because there are so many people duplicating websites and creating scams that it's not even funny. And I know people can do that with photos as well, but it's just an extra little layer of trust that you can add to the website. So on your about page, you can showcase your expertise, your qualifications, your skills, and why are you the right choice for that visitor. Include your contact information, make it easier for people to reach out to you. And that can mean the email address, a phone number, a registered address, your social media links. And also make sure your site has a privacy policy and the terms and conditions or terms of service that build trust, especially if you are an e-commerce brand. If you sell online, make sure you display secure payment badges like SSL security icons so the customers can feel safe entering their bank details. That's also really important. Once again, about scams and all of that, there's many out there. All right, so let's do a quick recap. Here are the 5 must-have elements to build trust and boost conversions on your website. So first of all, clear messaging. So make it obvious what you do and who do you serve and what problems do you solve. Number 2, polished design. Keep it clean, professional, simple, and easy to navigate. Number 3, social proof. Client testimonials, case studies, media features to build trust. Number 4, strong call to action for each page. Be really clear what's the intention you have for people visiting your website. Number 5, the trust signals. Contact info, about page, and legal pages matter. Forgot to mention on the trust signals and the legal part of it, don't forget your cookie banner, really important, especially if you are in Europe. Your next step. So if you want a website pre-design checklist to work your way through, you can download mine. I'm going to leave it on the page, on the episode description, so you can check it there. And if you need help create your own website and you don't want to do it yourself, you can reach out to me and maybe we can collaborate together. So you can book a discovery call with me and let's see the way we can work together. So thanks again for listening. I hope you found this episode helpful. And if you did, and if you want to share it with a fellow business owner that needs, maybe a little website magic sprinkle, share it with them. And don't forget to follow the podcast on your podcast, where you're listening to your podcast, and leave me a comment if you want to say hello. See you next time, and thank you so much. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Core Brands Podcast. I hope you found insight, inspiration, or even a little nudge to take action in your own brand journey. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who would find it valuable. And if you want to keep the conversation going, you can find me over on Instagram at Design by Roberta. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.